But when I see Dan Campbell handling the clock the way he has over the last 3 years, same shit with fourth down going for it, admitting after the game that, yeah, you know what, our defense played pretty well, but, you know, we put them in bad spots. Whose fucking fault is that, buddy?
That's a turnover. I'm sorry, especially in your own freaking side. Don't play that way, Dan. I hope you're listening. Don't coach that way.
So Darcy's on with us pre-show, talking about how he's ready for Henry Booker.
You got to continue to do the work. There is a lot of hype and there is a lot of the media involved now.
And Jahmyr Gibbs, guys, you're going to fall in love with them because Goff's going to find him in the slot. He's going to get a lot of screen passes.
I've been following the Lions. I mean, that's my team, man. I mean, they're the team that drafted me and gave me a chance to play the NFL.
Finally talking Lions in the playoffs. We got the Stafford angle, the Aaron Donald angle. We didn't draft Aaron Donald. We took Eric Ebron. I want no part of that.
No, Detroit fans. Hey, I got my jersey right there. I got the helmet right there. Let's get it cheering, man. Good time for y'all to start cheering right now.
Super Bowl.
That's right.
Well,
What's happening, fellas? Here we are after the draft. Man, I'm excited. I hopped in just in time after all the work, all the interviews, good content coming from me as always at All Lions. Looking forward to catching up with all the boys. But before we get started on the draft, I got something to say to Mr. Joe and Mr. Easy as I was checking out the algorithms on X. Congratulations to the Lions. They got better. No more is Will Harris on this roster. And as I'm thanking God that he is no longer part of this team, what pops up? Easy and Joe are like, let's keep it real with the one that was here. The one that did nothing. The one that made one whole play in his 5 years here. What are you guys shouting out Will Harris for? He was here during the lean years. Yeah, and every list I made, stock down, trade, cut. Let's move on from Will Harris when your eyes would see that every quarterback on earth would target that man. And he gave up, I think I read, just looking up the stats, 70% of receptions in 23. That's why he got put on special teams. The Lions secondary is so much better without Will Harris. And they got two cornerbacks right now that are already better than Will Harris probably will ever be. I'm happy the Lions got better. Will Harris is gone, and they got two cornerbacks that are going to shine, hopefully, in the NFL. What's up, fellas?
amen. Yeah, maybe even more than that for Meek Robinson. I mean, I got some high expectations for him too. My post was genuinely just about the guy. Like I mean, you're there in the locker room. I'm sure you've come across him. Like he is, at least when I met him, was super cool.
Yes.
Didn't make anything weird because obviously we've all had critical things to say about him, and for him to be, I guess, cool. I didn't say, God bless Will Harris and all he's did for us. No, I was just like a real one. I had a real interaction with him. He's a dope dude. Nothing on the field. Personally, for my health, it is better that he's not on this team because I used to get anxiety anytime he entered the game. All right. My heart would start pounding. I start sweating. I start yelling at my wife and dog for no reason. I didn't enjoy Will Harris's time on the field, but off the field, he's a cool guy to me. So I said, shout out to the real one.
Cool guys. Most of the guys are cool. The dude couldn't play, and that was simple as that. But we knew that 2 years ago. I was like, take the hint. Take the hint, Brad Holmes. Take the hint. This guy cannot play, and they put him on special teams, and that's where he went. And good luck with the Saints. I hope he shines out there with the Saints. He, at least we'll get another opportunity. But man, that was tough. That was tough watching him because every time the opponent needed a first down, and Will was out there. We knew where the ball was going, and it was rough. But
think of it this way, John. This is another goofy ass question you can ask on Twitter. So my point about it was. This simple. It was this simple. Number one, Will Harris, he wasn't a good football player. No one's denying that. But the issue was First of all, he was drafted by Bob and the Blob. Okay, so that's number one. So obviously we know that he can't play right off the hop because Bob and the Blob, they couldn't draft worth shit. So that's what you got right there. Then Dan Campbell comes there with his Jersey Shore looking ass, Texas ass, and he turns around the culture. Will Harris was a veteran in that culture. So the way you see this team right now is because of the veterans that were here that are not here no longer, like guys like Charles Harris, guys like Will Harris. Like these guys are the guys that pretty much, they were the veterans in the room when you guys had children in the room. And that's basically what it comes down to. I'm not saying Will Harris is a great player. No, there's no one saying that. Not one clue. But it is what it is. I think for his time here, and that's just the way to do it.
Yeah, no, it was great. They needed 2 cornerbacks to get rid of some of the guys that they had there. Jerry Jacobs. Look, I like Jerry Jacobs as a person as well, but the man was Mr. Grabby. He couldn't because it's just a tough position. So I'm curious, what did you guys think of the 2 draft picks? 2 cornerbacks, the position that I hate. I hate the whole position, but they got 2 guys that seemingly are going to be productive in the NFL. Competitive, Terrion Arnold, and then back at number 61, they got Ennis Rakestraw. What do you guys think? I'm happy with it. It's going to take time. They're not going to be saviors, but those guys, I think when you look at it, they got everything that I think Brad Holmes would want in terms of competitiveness, physicality, play different spots. Good picks for the Lions, and I think, hey, at the very least, you say it's a clear upgrade over what they had. That's all you can do. You can sleep good at night. Better than what they had. Thank God. Well, what do you think?
No,
Okay,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Hey, how's everything going, guys? I agree 100%. You consider I've been the main one probably complaining for the last 25 years about getting a cornerback, getting multiple cornerbacks.
Years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. It's been a long time since we actually drafted some quality corners in the first round at that. In the first couple of rounds, at that matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's a complete upgrade. You're talking about Carlton Davis, Amik Robertson. We're all still hoping that we can get anything out of Emmanuel Mosley. Vildor's still here. Vildor wasn't terrible. Vildor had that one play in his entire time here, became that one play, similar to how Derek Barnes had a pretty good 2023, but everybody chooses to talk about the Dak Prescott play and make his entire season about that one damn play. So, yeah, you look at the quarterback position. I don't think there's any superstars. Could be wrong. Not saying somebody couldn't eventually develop into one, but there's strength in numbers for sure. Like, there's a lot of talent on the back end now, versatility at safety, corner. You got guys with size. You got guys with speed. You got guys who are more slot guys, more quick, shifty. And it took 4 years, but they finally overhauled that whole secondary. And now, and I think it's great, too, for Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, because they're in situations where they don't have to step right in and be the man either. Like, if Terrion Arnold would have went 8th overall to Atlanta or would have went somewhere else where he would have been expected to go right out there on the perimeter and cover number 1s or cover number 2s, I think he would have had a problem. But I think both of these guys are in good situations where neither one of them will be asked to be the guy, required to be the guy. Now, if they develop into that, that's something different. But they can blend right in pretty seamlessly behind some of the vets we got. And, yeah, I'm stoked about it, man. I think this secondary now has went from being a weakness for a long time to, you can argue, it might be the strength of the entire defense right now.
Yeah. I mean, I like the picks myself as well. I think that, like, when you talk about guys that, like, kind of a similar situation to what you're talking about, having to show up and be the guy, I think guys like, Jeff Okudah come to mind, right? So, drafted 3rd overall with the Quentin Trisha era, has to come in his first few games are, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson. He missed a couple of spring trainings and training camps with injury. So hopefully, we don't have to put another guy into that situation. As much as he didn't pan out here, I really kind of felt like he necessarily didn't really always have the most fair shot or the easiest pass. And I don't mean that as far as like plenty of chances, but it's just as far as like being thrown in how he did. So these young guys don't have to come in and play that way. So Terrion Arnold, he gets to kind of learn from this coaching staff, gets to learn from Carlton Davis, and just watching this film, man, just, being in the SEC, locking some of these SEC receivers up. And he plays a lot faster than he does on his 40 time, and so does Rakestraw. So both these guys amazing in run coverage and run defense, which actually is really cool to our versatility. So you can line guys up in the nickel, you can line guys up in different sub packages and formations, and really let that versatility shine because Aaron Glenn, and Dan Campbell both like guys with a lot of versatility. So to me, I mean, an area of weakness going and getting back-to-back positions, you're basically saying, hey, like, I'm doing what I can. You guys are, complaining and bitching that we're bad at corner, then we're going to get back-to-back corners, and, we'll see how we look in, the next couple of years as those guys grow and develop. So, I mean, hey, like Walt was saying, one of the biggest positional needs in, the past couple decades outside of Darius Slay, we haven't had really much strong cornerback play or guys you could consider superstars. So the fact that we got, back-to-back picks on a position of need and a weak position, it should be interesting how it kind of helps out the roster, moving forward.
I think it's even more dope. They, Brad dressed BPA, and like it just happened to address position. Like they didn't force the issue. They were just the best players on the board, and obviously Brad Holmes dressed very well. That's like the bonus on top of it. Is like they didn't force the issue. These guys are actually like nice.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of size from the quarterback room, speed from the cornerback room, athleticism, and intelligence. And I will tell you, they have athleticism, intelligence. They probably don't have size, but they have athleticism and intelligence. You look at a guy like Enos Rakestraw who allowed only one catch in a Georgia game. He played on different receivers. He played inside, outside. He played on receivers that was bigger than him. He played on Ladd McConkley, who to me was a fringe first-round pick. That people got in the second round. The Chargers got in the second round. You cut the real tape on, not just the highlights. You cut that on. His form is great. Everything he does from a cornerback position is great when in terms of stickiness and staying sticky. He covers seams. He covers go routes. He covers hitches. He covers flag routes. This is the type of individual I feel like can really benefit the Lions right now. Again, when you look at Terrion Arnold, I know people weren't fascinated with the 40 time and the pick and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, this team's Achilles heel was always what they do in the secondary, and that was on display countless times with Cam Sutton and the secondary of old. So it's nice to overhaul that position. It's nice to get some fresh blood in here and go Lions.
Well, I thought it was impressive for two reasons. First of all, I didn't think Arnold would even be there at the 24th pick. I thought there was like a 5% chance he was going to make it there. And I'm glad he did, because that was like my number one corner next to Quinton Mitchell. And obviously we've seen Quinton go a little bit earlier. The run on offensive players was crazy, especially Atlanta picking Michael Penix, which was also equally as dumb. But, the thing I look at with Rakestraw and Arnold, it's kind of similar to each other. I look at these guys as not only are they, good athletes, good in their form, like Spirit of Detroit said, Lamar. They're good in their form, and they're also mentally strong. And I think when you're a cornerback, the biggest thing that you could have is being mentally strong, because you're going to get burned a lot of times. It's just the fact of the matter. You can't grab these guys. You can't touch these guys. So you're going to get burned. And it's just going to happen. It's kind of like being a goalie in hockey. You're going to give up a goal. So you kind of have to work. You kind of have to go with the flow kind of thing. It's not. So when I look at a cornerback, they have to be mentally strong. I look at these two, and I think that they're probably the two strongest in their class. I know a lot of people mock Kool-Aid to Detroit, but I didn't think he was that great. But I like both the picks, and I think that Detroit got the better two players. I think they're both ranked in the top 10 of Dane Brugler, Daniel Jeremiah, and Matt Miller. So, and I even saw Matt Miller saying that he thinks that Terrion Arnold could be a rookie of the year candidate for the defensive side of the ball. So,
wow.
With all that being said, I think that there's a lot of praise being put on these two guys, and I think that I think they'll slowly get better. But it helps having Carlton Davis on the other side. It helps having Amik Robertson. It helps having Brian Branch. So it's not like they're coming to a situation where they're expected to, ball out from the start, because that won't happen either.
That's like one last thing I say too. Like The thing with me with Terrion, I've always looked at as like potential. I don't know if he's going to hit the league right away and be the number one cornerback and stuff like that. But like the room that they're going to be like brought up in is going to be so competitive this year, especially on top. Like you already have the expectation of wanting to go to the Super Bowl, but like I said this on our show once, but I was like, you got Carlton Davis, who won a Super Bowl as the CB1 on that team. He was traded. He's hungry. He's determined. He's angry. You got Meek Robinson, who got paid. Probably think he's for sure going to get that CB1 or CB2 spot because of the Cam Sutton stuff, especially. But then you draft back-to-back cornerbacks. He's already a motivated guy. Wasn't shied away after the Carlton Davis trade. He's hungry. He's got something to prove. You got Emmanuel Mosley, a lot of people are forgetting about, who tore his 2 ACLs after being in an NFC Conference Championship game. Like that close to a Super Bowl. He's angry. He's got something to prove. It's a very competitive environment. And from everything we're hearing about Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold, like they're going to thrive in that. Like they need that to get better. And we'll get the best version of them because of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's great too. And you guys have said it. I think they're in a much better position to have a chance to succeed than Jeff Okudah ever did. It was rough. And that's why everybody was at that time when Okudah was drafted going, wait a minute, you don't take a cornerback that high because of how long it takes to develop. And nobody really projected that Jeff Okudah at that spot, if you're going to be taken that high within the top 5, there's expectations that you're going to be a shutdown cornerback a la Sauce Gardner. That's just going to be the natural expectation. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And many people felt that way pretty early on, and just based on the position alone. So now you're in a much better spot because you have veterans in the room. You have, like you guys said, you got Brian Branch, who now can maybe even play a little bit more safety. You got 2 potential nickel cornerbacks that can do some things, and Amik Robertson, and maybe you kick Rakestraw inside for different packages. Man, I think you guys said it too. The dime package for the Lions is going to be legit. You're going to have first and foremost, Aaron Glenn should thank Brad Holmes. Finally got some dogs that can play on defense, and 2 of the top picks this year addressing cornerback. He should definitely be thankful. He's got a shot now to compete. And because look, everybody's talking about Aaron Glenn as being on the hot seat all the time. And now you can finally develop a couple young guys that can understand your system. But I'm curious, do you think Terrion Arnold needs to play opposite of Carlton Davis week 1? Do you think he'll compete at that level and become a starter early on? Or do you say, you know what, maybe you hope that Emmanuel Mosley stays healthy, earns the spot, and is the opposite, more veterans early on? Because I think, hey, if you're Terrion Arnold and you're a competitor, you want to be the defensive rookie of the year. He's got the 4th best odds. I project him. You know, I haven't done my official depth chart, but we did it all Lions. One of my writers did. I would have it Carlton Davis on one side and Terrion Arnold on the other, and you have Brian Branch in the nickel spot with your 2 starting safeties. That's pretty good to start the year, in my opinion. Where do you guys think Terrion Arnold
that would be completely irresponsible. And I'm going to tell you why. Cornerback, tight end, quarterback, and those are the toughest positions to learn. If Terrion Arnold isn't like proficient and like he isn't on his game, you can't start him week 1. It's a disservice to him, and it's honestly a disservice to his like the way that he goes about the game. You got the veterans to start, okay, and if one of them does, fall beyond the lines of they're not that great, then you go to Terrion Arnold. But to start off week 1 with him in the limelight, look, Darius Slay was a hell of a cornerback with the Detroit Lions, and his first year he got benched as a rookie. So you saying let's go put him out there, like, yeah, that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you can't start him week 1 if he's not ready. If he's ready, yes. If he's not ready, you can't just pencil him in the starting lineup. I mean, there's corners on this roster that could start right now. So, I mean,
he wanted
Joe, that's the
question.
question. I don't think, naturally speaking, the coaching staff is going to put him out there if he's not ready. The question is, do you think he's going to be ready? No doubt. You've seen a lot of bums play cornerback, but I'm asking you, do you think he'll be ready day 1? And so, no doubt, the team will understand based on training camp. I think he has a chance. I think based on what he can do, based on the competition, that there's a chance in training camp early on in the preseason, if he does things, there's
how many
Who gonna
how many
start?
quarterbacks have been week 1?
Derek Stingley started. You look, he's got to get out there and learn.
Sauce Gardner?
What better spot than day one if he's earned it to go out there and play? You drafted him in the first round. You traded up for him. So let's not coddle these boys. Look, of course he's going to struggle. I'm not going to levy expectations of 5 interceptions and all pro, but I think that day one, if he's the best guy, I think right up there, he's in the mix right up there. You still got to see Emmanuel Mosley, what he brings to the table in health. You still got Amik Robertson's undersized. I think Terry Arnold has I think you guys got to give him a little more credit to be a starter day one. That's my question. Is do you guys expect him to compete at the highest level in training camp and get that starting spot? If you say no, I can see why. I could see the answer being no, but I think he's got a good chance coming in, at least talking about it right now.
Absolutely. I think he's got a good chance to start because the cream always rises to the top. Who you want to start? Gilmore? At the end of the day, we're looking at this from a unique perspective. Ain't nobody gonna draft a first overall pick and sit them down if they're not a quarterback. Just sit them down, shut them down.
Well, he's not
going to be like he's first and foremost. He's not going to be like Bijan Robinson over there in Atlanta with a clipboard the first 2 games of the season. He's going to get some snaps. And I think that when you look at the cream of the crop that's there, Amik Robertson has a $2 million deal. Okay, so right now, Terrion Arnold is making more than Amik Robertson. We got to follow the money on this one. You're going to see if he can cover Amon-Ra. You're going to see if he can cover guys like Raymond, and you're going to naturally put him in the ones and progress him. I cannot imagine Terrion Arnold getting started over by Robertson, Amik Robertson, Amik Rub the Dust Robertson. I cannot imagine that. And the fact that you imagining he's not ready. He's not ready. I think I'm looking at you like, well, I'm not ready to hear this because as a Lions
because
fan,
you'll be the first one putting a busted ass video out there saying that he's like a bum ass kid. That's what you do. That's what you do. I'm saying if he's not ready to start, okay, you need to listen because you're not. Sometimes you just speak from the helm. If he's not ready to start, you can't start him. Period. And you saying, oh yeah, he's a first overall pick, bro. He's a first round pick, not a first overall pick. Let's get that.
I didn't say first overall.
Like if he was a first overall, he's not first overall.
Someone get this man a sandwich. This man is chilling. You hangry, man? Just relax, man. At the end of the day,
I'm not hangry. I'm not hangry. I'm saying facts. I'm spitting facts. You're over here saying, oh, the cream rises to the top, bro. He's a rookie. Like, what are you talking about?
Man, listen. Listen,
it's like
whoever's ready to play should play. Yeah, I've always viewed that. I don't care if you're a 5th round pick, an undrafted free agent. If you earn the spot and you're the better player, your ass should be playing. Period.
That's what they do.
Enough of the situations with guys who, we're gonna let these guys sit and grow. Whoa, big dog, you slow it down a little bit. Keep some of that reined in. Like, no, you need to play. We look at Campbell. Fans wanted to see Jack Campbell play last year where he was a 1st round pick. Why isn't he playing? You also got to let these guys grow at their own rate. Linebacker, especially like off-ball linebacker, is another position that's very, very difficult to learn. It took Jack a minute. Mm-hmm. I personally feel Jack Campbell's going to be a star. Once he really gets his footing up under him and they get the right pieces around him, Jack can be a star. He can get back to that Buckets Award winner that he was. But corner's sketchy, man. And I will agree with Joe on this. If you look back, like historically, it's kind of few and far between with the all-time great corners. Like we can, over the past 4, 5, 6 years, we can kind of ramble off probably a good 10 edge rushers, quarterbacks, maybe tackles that could be, all pro, borderline Hall of Fame type players. When it comes to those corners, man, those dudes are like few and far between. And it's real easy because we've seen some very, very talented, highly picked corners fizzle out really quick because it's about what you got upstairs. And I think a big issue with Jeff was because that very first game he played was against, who was it?
Devontae
Adams.
It wasn't Arizona. Didn't they play Arizona the very first game?
That's where he had his first interception.
No, Devontae was his first matchup.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, and the thing is this, it's the gauntlet. We watched Cam Sutton last year. You can be as good as we think you are. We won't know until this Sunday. You got CeeDee Lamb. Next Sunday, you got Devontae Adams. Next Sunday, you got DK Metcalf. Next Sunday, you got Jamar Chase. Like, we won't find out about how mentally strong corners are until they run gauntlets like that, because you can always play in a certain system that hides you in coverages and, you know, puts a mask over your deficiencies or whatever. But when it comes down to it, if you're the weak link in that secondary, opposing offenses are going to find you. And this is an NFL right now where they don't give a damn about feelings. If they can burn you and cook you as much as they can offensively, they will. And they don't care about guys' feelings getting hurt, confidence being broken or not. So you still have to kind of be careful with Terrion Arnold. And the big reason I say that also is because, like, I'm very big on traits. And when you're playing on the outside, hey, listen, you can shake your head all you want. I done brought up tons and tons of examples of the top guys who play on the outside are usually guys who have elite physical traits. They all don't have to be 6'2" or 6'1". Some have been 5'11". Even Jair Alexander. He has elite traits, elite short area quickness. He has elite speed. He was a 4.3 guy. You don't find too many guys running the 40s that these guys run at the sizes they run playing on the outside that much. You just don't. People made the comparison with Rakestraw. Yeah, people made the comparison with Rakestraw to Witherspoon. The physicality, yeah. They both play like maniacs around the line of scrimmage. Witherspoon was faster. Witherspoon, I felt, was a better player in coverage as well. So you still do have to be careful with these guys, because one bad game or 2 bad weeks of getting burned, some of these dudes get benched and they never see the field again for another 3 or 4 weeks. But to answer your question, John, I think he will be ready to play. I'm not sure if he's going to be just
Exactly.
by the end of training camp. This is the number 1 corner that we've watched all training camp. I wouldn't be shocked if he became that, because he's a damn good player. But it's kind of difficult trying to forecast whether or not a corner that you draft is going to be absolutely ready to play week 1.
That's where I'm at with it. Like,
Let's put Joe Chap out there.
You can't say for sure, and they're definitely going to camp and find out. And like, I get in most cases, if all the money makes sense, but in Detroit's case, it's not that. It's all about the competition. Go back to Malcolm Rodriguez getting his starting reps with his rookie year. That you watched it in Hard Knocks. Coach Shepard said, "I don't want to have to start a rookie, but you guys kind of forced my hand to, because he's the one outperforming everyone. Like, that's who's going to get the job ultimately, and I'm not going to be concerned regardless." Look at how great Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be, or expectation of Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be. He didn't get that many snaps last year. The entire fantasy football community was dying over it. But as soon as he did start touching the ball, obviously once they were comfortable to give him the ball, he was balling out. So I'm not concerned either way, but I could definitely see it happening. I also want to be surprised though too. He played a little bit of nickel and slot at the college level in his Rakestraw as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they get that first knock. I don't think that would be it, because I think you want to groom him to be your outside corner. I feel like that's what they drafted him to be. But you heard Dan Campbell talk about Brian Branch moving back to the safety position. I wouldn't be surprised if, I think John's the first one to bring it up, and we've been talking about it too. Maybe even Ennis Rakestraw is maybe the first rookie to get the start too, just because maybe they're more comfortable with him being in that nickel spot. But I'm not pressed either way, but I could definitely see him getting it.
Look at
I just think
Laporta.
Cream rises to the top. Cream
He
rises to
earned
the
the spot
top.
last year. We were all talking about James Mitchell being the starter last offseason.
No, y'all were.
And Laporta being worked in slowly. And Laporta went out there and he was the best player.
Nah, Laporta was going to obviously get the start. He was a more talented player. I think that, y'all haven't been watching y'all Spirit of Detroit. Y'all haven't been having y'all really.
Man, I watched 2 videos earlier.
Y'all haven't watched enough real content. It's okay. But look, John is right. I'm gonna let Tyler talk.
No, I was just gonna say, like, for just to kind of put things in perspective, like, I mean, I see everybody's opinions, and I definitely agree, But the cool thing about this whole situation is that this is the first time in my life, as a fan and as a content creator for Detroit Lions football, that I can actually honestly say, no matter what they do, whether they feel like he's comfortable enough to start week 1, whether they feel like they want to let him sit and learn, whether they feel like they want him to walk backwards on his hands, or whatever they want to do, I finally trust the coaching staff and front office enough to know that whatever decision they make, is pretty much the right decision. I know it sounds crazy, and you say, hey, look, you're allowed to question, your team's decisions. You're allowed to question coaching decisions. You're allowed to see, your opinions on these things. I mean, that's what we do this for, right? We have our opinions and we all talk and chop it up and talk shop. But the crazy thing is like, for the first time ever, man, like I fully have faith in this coaching staff and this regime and this front office that like, Brad Holmes could draft a freaking punter in the first round next year. I'm going to be like, dude, this guy's going to be the best punter of all time. He must be super, like, this must be the missing piece. Like these guys have earned that trust. They've earned that reputation. So I'm really excited to see how they finagle it and orchestrate it. But for the first time in forever, man, I just wanted to point it out there and put it out there that, I have full faith and trust in this coaching staff. And, whichever way they go, until they prove us wrong, every year we've gotten better. Every year we've gotten closer to contention. Every year we've gotten more missing pieces filled and more holes filled. And yeah, man, I mean, these guys are batting 1,000. So whatever they decide, I've got full faith in this coaching staff. So it's just an awesome breath of fresh air, because I feel like most of us here could have probably done a better job than Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. So
Yeah,
it's just
no
nice
doubt.
to feel,
No doubt. No, that's what everyone's going to look forward to seeing. That's why I asked the question, see what you guys think. Yeah, no doubt. If he's ready, he will play. And that's what we all want to see. And that's why the debate is always interesting, to take a first-round cornerback and to trade up when you also had a need potentially to upgrade the edge rusher spot. So I think when you trade up, it kind of sends a signal, hey, we like this guy. So to think that maybe he's not ready is, I think, underselling what I think he's got. And if he wants to be defensive rookie of the year, look, when we say starter, we also can say the majority of defensive snaps, the percentage. Maybe the first defensive series, they don't put him out there, but he plays 40 to 60 defensive snaps. So I think eventually within the first 5 weeks, he will, no doubt about it, be taking a large share of defensive reps. And it's going to be interesting to see his development. But I'm curious, guys, the pick that I think is most controversial, and I'm wondering what Tyler, Walt, all you guys think. Real fast, Tyler, Brad Holmes is not batting 1,000. Levi Onwuzurike is a big hole
Hey,
that
listen,
potentially
man.
you needed. You got this year left, and they're going to move on from him if he doesn't show out. But I'm curious. He took a
That's
risk.
more injury. I think that's a lot more injury, reason than anything. I mean, a lot of teams had a real good, like a high, mid first round grade on him. And I still think, I want to say the potential's there, but I mean, when you get hurt so much and so often, it's hard to say that. So it's just some of these, the injury history, man, it's just so hard to,
Yeah,
what's out there,
knew it.
you put in a lot of
Coming off
effort
of the
and-
back surgery, then having the surgery, so that's a big hole
It's tough.
early in your situation. But that's okay. He's allowed. No general manager is perfect. But I just wanted to point that out. But I want to get your sense, guys. What do you think of the risk that he took? 2 years in a row now, drafting a developmental player. Last year was Broderick Martin. This year, a freak athlete, Giovanni Manu, 6'8", 350 pounds, runs a sub-5 40-yard dash. And boy, did Brad Holmes really go out there and decide to, hey, take a swing on Giovanni Manu in the 4th round on day 3. What do you guys think?
People aren't gonna love what I have to say about this one, but that's exactly it. It's a project. They gave up a 3rd round pick, right, to make that move for a 4th rounder. It was weird because the 2 picks they made in the 6th round, I felt like were the picks you would have made in the 4th round. The ones they made in that 4th round, I feel like were the ones you're gonna make in that 6th round. Like it's vice
Just switch
versa.
them around,
but-
baby. Just switch them around and you'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like last
Honestly,
year.
and as weird as that sounds, like it really would. But my beef really was just kind of giving up the 3rd rounder, and because when I watch the tape, man, when you see a guy like that or a project like that, and he's playing at British Columbia, like the tape, you want to see him. You want it to look like us versus 3rd graders. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's what I want to see. When you cut on the tape, I just don't see that. I don't see like the burst coming out of his first step too. Like I am nervous, but again, this is very much a project. There were multiple teams that had him take top 30 visits, and the Cowboys were one of them. I think 11 teams he went there in person. So much so the Detroit Lions had to meet with him on a Sunday and whatnot. So I'm gonna just have faith with Brad. He does like taking these projects. It sucks that he's using the 3rd rounds to do it, but it is what it is. I can't complain. He's given me my first playoff win in my lifetime as a general manager. So we have to ride it out.
Yeah, this guy gives out 3rd round picks like they're like trade chips, like they're candy, man. He just clicks them out. He don't even need them, man. He's like, I'm good on this. My quick reaction on this is just, the guy's huge. You can't teach size that like that. I mean, the guy's a freak. He has like a 36-inch vertical, and he runs like a 4.96, and he's just a huge giant. I think when you talk about projects, especially with all linemen, you have a really good group. Ragnow might not be around for super long, maybe another 2 seasons. He's been talking about with getting injured a lot and stuff. He's kind of like, it's kind of seemed up in the air. Taylor Decker's getting up there in age, and obviously Penei Sewell being one of the best tackles in football. I think you're in a position now where if you surround that, freak athlete, freak size, just huge freak of nature, and you surround him with a lot of really talented, technical, cerebral players, I think that's a situation where you're going to get the most out of that. And like I said, you can't teach being 6'8", 350, running a 4.96 and jumping 36 inches in the air. I mean, you just can't teach that. So you try to hone that in. I mean, I do understand where you're coming from as far as trading up like that. But hey, I mean, sometimes you just got to go get your guys and you got to have a feel for them. So I think with spending time, being able to spend 2 or 3 years with some of the top linemen in the league, having maybe a year, maybe 2 with Kevin Zeitler, and just like being able to pick the brains of some of the best linemen that we've ever seen in our lifetime as Detroit Lions. It's like the perfect opportunity and perfect position to take a guy like that you can make a project. Because a guy like that, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it would have made no sense. There would have been no one to help develop him and build him up. So taking him now while you got the line that you do, it's got a lot more potential to pay off. So I like it.
Real fast, Mr. Greg Rice. I don't need the $100. I appreciate the fact that you would cash at me $100. But if you do go to All Lions, I invite you to visit. We did an article, Day 3 targets, and the name that was on there for a later round was the man named Giovanni Manu. So that's how I learned about him from my guy Christian. He fell in love too when all the buzz started with the workout. Everybody was like, "Whoa, look at this guy!" I mean, the scouts just went crazy with the time and everything like that. So we didn't have it in the 4th round, but my God, Brad didn't want to take. Look, when he likes somebody and he wants, and by accounts, the reason why he traded up, there was talk that. And I actually had a chance to talk to Giovanni's coach. He said that the Jets had a lot of interest. So maybe Brad felt and knew that a couple other teams that were there were going to maybe even take a chance on him in the 5th round. So they didn't want to wait. So to me, it's great. I think that you needed to take a risk, maybe the right tackle of the future. But yeah, I can understand Easy's concern that he is somebody that is a project and is going to be very, very raw. We're talking 2-3 years down the road. But hey, you're in that position. Why not? He's going to learn quick, and he's going to have that opportunity real fast to grow and learn. So I listen. I don't mind trading the 3rd round pick because he can easily get it back in another trade next year. You saw how many trades he's able to make, and with what you've seen from Brad Holmes, you can be confident that if he wants a player, he'll get in any round that he wants to. He can handle business.
Yeah, I love the pick. I love the pick in every facet of the word. I like the pick. Yeah, you could say he reached for the stars. So with that one, he took a guy earlier than the round he's supposed to and all this other stuff. But y'all also the same fans that say, in Brad Holmes we trust, and all this other nonsense. Brad Holmes we trust. Everything Brad Holmes. Yeah, Okay, y'all love the soft shoe and tap dance when it comes to Brad Holmes. So I did like the pick. I like the pick. It was a little bit of a head scratcher. But when you talk about a potential a right tackle of the future, he was in talks with the Lions. He did have an interview yesterday. Where he talked about getting snaps at guard. So when you talk about that and you pair him with Christian, you get him around guys that are widely veterans. When you do that, you're actually supplementing his growth. He's going to see how the game works. He's going to see the physicality of the game, and then he's going to go against elite competition in Aleem McNeil, and he's going to go in an elite competition with DJ Reader, and then he's going to go against guys like on the edge. If he can stand on the edge and be a right tackle and go against guys like James Houston, who's a great speed rusher, who's pretty good. You got Aiden Hutchinson he can go against. When he starts showing potential and starts showing headaches for those guys, then that's how you got a player. So you really got to develop him. I like what his team does with the development. I'm not like most Detroit Lions fans where they expect to go in a draft and get 4 starters like Brian Branch and Laporta. That doesn't become the bar for me. That becomes man, we got a good GM, and that becomes the basis of moving forward. I really believe if this guy is a reach, it's a good reach, not a crazy reach.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's if you compare this project, first of all, all of these abnormally large offensive tackles get called projects. DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State was a project last year. Mekhi Becton was a project out of Louisville a few years
But those
ago.
are actual like
Oh yeah,
good
but I mean they
colleges.
played big
British
time. Yeah, they
Columbia.
also they played big time college football as well. But those guys were projects, and some of those guys hit the ground running and played well. I think when you look at this guy as a project in comparison to Broderick Martin from a year ago, we have a longer history of seeing tackles who were viewed as projects come along a lot quicker. Because I think when you take a tackle with size, athletic ability, he may not have the experience against the type of competition you want him to have, but it's easier to take a guy like that with those type of tools, teach him how to get back into his sets quicker, clean up his footwork a little bit, teach him to not, hold as much, teach him about hand placement and all that good stuff, how to handle pass rushers, different types of pass rushers, speed rushers, power rushers, guys that are power to speed guys who are small. How do you handle all these different types of guys? When you look at defensive tackle, it takes more when you take a large human being, a defensive tackle who's just raw, and you got to teach him how to two-gap. You got to teach him how to disengage. You got to teach him how to keep his eyes on the backfield. You got to teach him how to read and react. If defensive tackles don't have any type of natural skills, intellect skills at the defensive tackle spot, it's hard to really get those guys to become more than projects. So right now, even though we don't have anything to really base it on, I think there's a higher chance of Manu panning out over Broderick Martin, just being honest, because also you can play him at guard. I wouldn't like him at guard. I think he's too tall to play guard. He should be on the outside playing tackle for the most part. But some people compared him to Talise Fuaga. Talise Fuaga, I think, is built more like a guard, but can play right tackle as well. He's the guy that the Saints can anchor their running game behind. But I wouldn't be surprised if he made the team. I think when we take project players like this, we automatically assume it's going to take them 3 years to learn how to play NFL football.
Yeah.
Most of these guys don't take them that long. Now, would any of us be shocked if he's playing in 2025?
Not
Or do
at
you
all.
think he's just going to...
I wouldn't.
A little bit. I mean, I'm thinking 2 years till we get like the best version of him, unless maybe Taylor Decker retires a little bit earlier than we're planning on, and we kind of force the hand. But I have no issue. Again, it's just gonna take a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's like you guys said with Broderick Martin. We're still waiting on that to show up, but maybe it's this year. Fontu Melifonwu, since we took him at corners, I knew he was gonna be a safety. He was too damn big to be playing outside corner and too damn slow to be playing outside corner. But it panned out 3 years later, right? We saw if he reaches potential. So I'm saying probably 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know a damn thing. I never watched his tape because I don't know where you get your University of British Columbia tape. I'm just gonna be honest. So I went to
You
the
don't have a
source.
guy?
Dude,
I was just
watching
messing with
Canadian. Darcy's from Canada. Watching Canadian football, you might as well play hockey. Because that Kazakhstan.
Actually, I do have a guy.
Oh, Darcy,
I got I got lots of guys actually. One of my scouting friends. This is my area. I'm Southwest Ontario. I'm one of the for the junior development players scout. There's not very many great players. Otherwise, that tight end that went to Notre Dame. I know, guys. I'm gonna.
No, but what I was saying though, is I went straight to the source. I didn't just I didn't make my own opinion or nothing like that. I know someone who's a CFL general manager, so I asked him literally what it is. This was his comment. He said, I think every CFL GM said, please don't make too much noise when he was originally making the noise, and he did. He got a lot of attention from NFL teams. He's a fantastic player. I said to my scouting staff, that the two ideal places where he could reach his full potential in the NFL were Detroit or Philly. No slight to the other teams, but both of those teams can take time to develop his skill set. He can grow and mature with the tackles in those two organizations, and the GMs are forward thinkers. The Lions' offensive line was one of the best in the NFL, and great coaching is what he will need to succeed. He will get that in Detroit with Hank Fraley, obviously. Can he step in right away? He was saying maybe a game or two, but he's probably going to be pretty putrid. But his biggest priority is to learn. He's an athlete. It's all about learning. That's it. If any other team takes him besides those two, I'd wonder if he'll ever succeed. He will in Detroit. I compare him to like a Jordan Mailata of the Eagles, who was in the international program. And he basically said, let him learn, watch him grow, and he comes from a good program with the same mentality as Detroit has. So my point about this is, I don't know a damn thing about the kid, but I do know that this guy is really credentialized. So I look at it like this. We watched Jordan Mailata come from Australia, which is definitely not known for football, and he became a damn good player with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's their starting tackle right now. I don't care where you get these guys. If they have the athleticism, they have the effing athleticism. Like, that's just the way it goes. And when you got a guy like Hank Fraley, who's an elite offensive line coach, I mean, for God's sake, we saw Coyote Oshika get ready to play Ed Oliver on a short week, and he was serviceable in his rookie campaign. I'm not saying he's going to be some great shakes, but I think that with the coaching that this guy is going to get and the players that he can learn from, like Sewell, like Decker, and the veterans in that room, this is not a reach. I don't think it's going to be classified as a reach if this is a good pick. So I think a lot of times fans, they think this is a reach because a lot of them want to read these mock drafts and they want to read these draft boards and they're like, that's the guy I would pick, or that's the guy I would pick. And it's not like that. The NFL doesn't work that way. I mean, we see the kid from like South Illinois State get taken by the Cowboys. So, I mean, where's your tape on him? Like, really, like that's the way it goes in this league. So if Holmes got the good read on this Manu kid, I'll trust him because I didn't watch any of the tape. And the people that did, they say he could be a pretty decent player. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's a project.
Well, I say he's the next Orlando Pace.
Let's hope so.
I will say April 12th, I was aware of Giovanni Manu, whoever was offering up the $100 on Cash App. Just saying.
Greg Rice.
That kid from prior Detroit, Jerry Mallory or whatever. He's not a kid, he's a man. But he predicted 2 of the day 3 picks. I was like, this guy, man, he needs to play a parlay or something, man. They were like,
I thought Wingo had a chance to. I mean, I thought Wingo would be a late third, maybe early fourth, but he's more of a Levi clone, healthier version of it. Elite run defender, so that's going to get him on the field initially. If you can play the run as a defensive tackle consistently, that's going to get you on the field. Then the pass rushing comes after that. But he's the 3 tech they need. I think he's the natural 3 tech they need because even though Aleem is playing that now, Aleem still doesn't look athletic to me quick enough to consistently play that. He's got the versatility though, but I think that's all that defensive front has been missing for a while. Other than edge rusher, a pure edge rusher is a guy who can play straight up 3 technique consistently and push the pocket. So hopefully Wingo turns out to be a player, and we got him for cheap.
That kid's gonna be a dog. He's gonna be a dog. I think his 10-yard split, which is used like to measure up, like you're good off the line, is in the 96th percentile of all time. It shows on his tape too. He's quick off the line. He's violent. He's strong. I think the reason why he fell was the injury, the size. He doesn't really have like a second plan of pass rush. If he don't get you with the get off and the strength right away, he's kind of stuck. If you got a guy who can anchor him on those pass rush reps, but again, we heard Dan Campbell, who we respect pretty highly, called Terrell Williams the best best defensive line coach in the league. And we see his products too with Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry. It's proof in his pudding. I feel like he'd cook up with Mekhi Wingo. Another guy too who transferred from Missouri, ended up being a team captain, wore that number 18 jersey, which I guess is like revered over there in LSU. I didn't know that, but it makes sense now. Dude, he's a Dog, I can't wait to see what this kid does.
You know
Man,
what though? I think sometimes the league just gets it wrong too, because he
Yeah.
was a way better player than Mason Smith.
Oh,
And
I
Mason
agree.
Smith went,
Yeah.
Mason Smith went way ahead of him, and he went ahead of him strictly off tools alone,
Yep.
which is terrible.
I thought-
because
I
that's
thought
what some
Mason-
GMs get caught up in.
Yep.
Well, I thought Mason Smith should have been the guy that went to in the 6th round. I thought Wingo was the guy who was going to go in the 3rd round or the 4th round.
Yep.
And you look at a guy like Wingo. I mean, when you watch LSU, first of all, it wasn't a great defense, number one, but that wasn't the fault of him. But look, he gets off the ball pretty quick. That's one thing you look at. It's not really quick, but he gets off good enough. A lot of people think that he's going to be a really good pass rusher from the start. I mean, I got this one snippet from I think it's ESPN, but it's Matt Miller, and he says that he has a chance to be playing in the 4-man front. Wingo has a similar style to the current Detroit defensive tackle Lee McNeil. He's short, but his effort level is fantastic. He's one of the biggest steals of the 3rd day. He can make an immediate impact in Detroit. I mean, like the way I look at it, I don't know how you guys look at it, but like I look at these 2 6th-round picks and I go, holy shit, did we get steals? Like, holy shit, did we get steals? Like Christian Mahogany, the kid from Boston College, I didn't think he'd be in the 6th round. But
he had no business being there in the 6th round.
Dog.
Well, this is what happens when you get. There's a lot of dumb general managers in the NFL. I mean, there's one in Atlanta that's absolutely an idiot. Well,
Michael Penix, baby.
Yeah, let's take Michael Penix. Big Penix energy. Like, what the hell, whatever.
Hey, they might they might win the NFC South this year too.
They better.
Still,
I mean,
they
if
better.
they better, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dumb general managers, and the fact that these 2 fell to them in the 6th round is like, you couldn't script a better end of the draft. I honestly, like, I look at Mahogany and I love the kid.
Dude, they get too caught up in ceilings, man. Ceilings.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you can. I think if you're drafting off ceiling alone, you're going to be drafting a lot of guys like what was it? dude?
Giovanni Manu?
Like Jacksonville does.
Like Giovanni Manu?
No, like Jelani Tavai and like what was it? There was a Matt Millen pick where Kakalama Francis or whatever the hell it was. Like, you draft guys on ceiling alone, you're going to be in a big.
Aaron
big
Gibson.
Aaron Gibson.
Didn't he draft Aaron Gibson because of the size of his helmet? Pause.
Yeah, no.
But wasn't he walking around talking about, look at the size of this guy's helmet? Like, Millen was something else, man. He was something.
Here's
else.
Johnny is on the money with that one too. Didn't Brad Holmes call him a dirtbag? He's like a New
Yeah,
Jersey
like
dirtbag.
why did he just like? Didn't you mean a different word, Brad?
Yeah, no,
Like I was watching the
he's a
interview,
bully.
like dirtbag.
Yeah.
He's
This guy's a piece of shit.
He's got some piece of shit.
Playing,
This
man.
guy don't pay his child support. We love him. No, I'm playing.
Don't trust this guy around your wife, man. What a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Can't wait to start him on
The way-
Sunday.
The way you described them, though, like yeah, you want your offensive linemen to be complete dirtbags. I mean, like, you want them to be like mean. You want them to be tough. You don't want them to be like the last thing. Like I
The
told,
bigger the piece of shit, the better, you know?
You ever
Exactly.
been in a fist fight? You ever hit a girl?
yeah,
Oh,
right.
shit. Hey, yo, chill.
No, but like you
Let me
want
stop.
you want your offensive linemen to be like tough and dirtbags. Like that's literally the name. You want them to be hog mollies, and that's exactly what you want. Like, you look at that offensive line, like Sewell is the vocal point of that. Like, that guy will fight anybody. Like, he tried to fight Aaron Donald his rookie year, and I'm like, dude, like, you're a rookie, and he's just standing straight up to him, like, yeah, easy, right, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys, this is what they want. This is exactly what they want. Like, you look at Amik Robinson when Brett Holmes said, about the competition. If they don't play, they don't play. If they play good in practice, they'll get to start. Like, that's the way it goes.
First guy off the bus, man. That's what the enforcers, the goons.
You gotta have goons on your team. You gotta have goons. Yep.
So does Mahogany become a starter by like mid-season, or is it possible he earns a spot out of camp though?
Ooh, I
mean, Christian's a hell of a player, man.
That's tough. I don't think so out of camp, but like
over
if
who,
somebody
though?
gets hurt,
You got a former All-Pro, and then you got, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and you got Graham, who's here for a reason, And I didn't mean to cut you off. He's go ahead. I was just
No,
saying,
you're
like,
good.
over who, like.
No, I can see someone getting hurt and just not getting their job back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think I think more than likely something like that because I really think he could play right now. And for me too, because we predicate our offense so heavily off the run game, I feel like he kind of fits that Jonah Jackson mold that we obviously lost in free agency because he's got a little bit of athleticism too. And he's like him on those polling plays. He's gonna be a dog. I can't wait to see it because that's the thing too. Is Zeitler? I know he was a Pro Bowler last year, I believe it was, but like he's more known for his pass blocking than his like run blocking. And him being like 34, I don't know how often we're gonna see him polling and stuff like that. Which we use Jonah Jackson for that all the time, but we'll see. I'm not tripping either way. I just love the addition.
Well, it kind of reminds you of like what we thought Logan Stenberg would be. You know, just a nasty, mean run blocking baller. You know,
don't even get me started.
Hopefully, we get it right this time.
I will
what
say
a bum
this,
that
though.
guy was.
Yeah, that's it.
I will say this. People clown the ACC a lot, but there's been a lot of top-level pass rushers and D tackles to come out of the ACC the past few years. He dominated a lot of them. Like, if you go back and you watch the tape against Braden Fisk, who was one of my favorite defensive tackles this class, he handled Braden every opportunity he had. You look at all the Clemson defensive linemen he faced over the past 3 years. He played very well against them. He's played a ton of high-level competition. He's given up 1 sack the last 3 years and 7 hurries against that ACC competition. So I agree. I think somebody gets hurt. One of those old heads gets hurt, and this young boy going to step in and they won't get the job back.
Kind of like the Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe type thing where, like, once Bledsoe got hurt, Brady took in. So screw it.
Zeitler, you're Bledsoe.
Exactly.
That's what happened to CJ GJ last year too. If he got to start, it's like, yeah, it's a rotation now, my boy.
I mean, the way we thought last year too, like we even thought, like, you know, Joe and I over to DLN Pod, we thought that we might. I mean, and there was some different draft experts that were talking about maybe getting a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson or the West Virginia.
I'm glad we didn't.
And but I'm saying, like, there was so much
Zach
talk
Frazier.
of that higher end. So, like, would you rather, you get a guy like that at pick 29, or you get a guy like Christian in, the 5th, 6th round? I mean, that's huge, man. That's value. I mean, and that's like, so we still went after, those positions of need. But, the fact that we were able to snag some of these guys in late round, like, these are guys that could project as, like, future starters. I mean, that dude's going to be, our first team guard, within the next 24 months, the next year, 2 years at most, so like I said, just grabbing, Easy said earlier, spoke a little bit about just going BPA and just best player available and how, we're able to kind of grab the guy that just so happens to fit our needs, man. So the fact that we're in a luxurious position to be able to pick some of these guys, and it is crazy because it really does, like Joe was saying earlier, it goes to show that how wrong, like you're even would be considered seasoned fan or content maker or podcaster. You have these draft boards, and the NFL just sees it a whole different way, man. Like these guys are just it's like they're looking at a completely different board. It's crazy. Like some of these guys flying off in the 3rd and 4th round, going, bro,
I don't know. Some of these guys you watch go in the 3rd and 4th round, and I thought, we talk about the day 3 picks. I was like more intrigued with the UDFAs, to be honest, because UDFAs
but way bigger names too.
You usually do see UDFAs hit the roster, and I look at a guy like me and Walt were talking about this yesterday on his post. We were talking about Kingsley, the kid from Florida, the center. I think I think he could be pretty damn good. Isaac, what's the kid?
Isaiah Williams.
You guys. I was gonna get to him. Uoko or whatever. He came from James Madison. He transferred to Ole Miss. Didn't play that much. I look at him like he could potentially be like an edge guy that you could potentially have on a practice squad that you could bring up at some point. And then Isaiah Williams. I mean, if he had a good quarterback, I mean, it goes back to this Big Ten West bullshit. Like, there's a lot of talent in the Big Ten West. They just don't have any quarterbacks. It's like Sam Laporta last year. Like Sam Laporta,
Sam Petrus, bro, or whatever.
Screw him. You know what the Big Ten West for quarterbacks is like poverty stricken. Like it's like help me, I'm poor. Like that's what the Big Ten West is. Like these wide receivers that come out like out of Wisconsin, or these tight ends that come out of like Charlie Jones was at Iowa and he didn't do nothing. It just so happens that his best year came again with the Raiders starting quarterback right now, and the Raiders are another dumbass franchise. But That's Isaiah Williams. I like him a lot. Like his yards after the catch is incredible.
How you guys feel about Steel Chambers?
Oh, I like Steel Chambers. First of all, it's a sick ass name. Number one.
Yeah, it is.
I just wanted to say it honestly.
I like the aggressiveness of us going out and giving some of these UDFAs like some guaranteed money and a good chunk to basically say, hey, if you flunk out and you shit the bed and you suck, at least we were the first ones to be able to find out and know about it, and they're willing to pay for it, which is like confident. You know what I mean? Like I like that. Go give these guys some money, man, and say, hey, the ball's in your court. We're a young, growing team that has some areas where we could really use some depth. But you know what? We'll be the first to pay up. If you shit the bed, you shit the bed. But at least we were willing to pay up first to really see what you got. So that just puts a lot of trust in the coaching staff and a lot of our departments to say we want to first look at you. We want the first crack at it. So I like that. Because they did that a couple times last year with a couple of UDFAs too, and they paid some guys some big money, and they ended up getting cut or just didn't work out, and they were handing out decent sized contracts, man, for some of those guys. So you got to pay to play, you got to pay to be able to scout in person and take a look at what you got.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where you can truly follow the money. The guys that get the most like chunk of guaranteed bread, or just like, because at that point it's a competitive market. It's not like you have the draft selection. Like you got to convince these guys to come play for you for the best opportunity to make the team or to make a career for themselves, or just pay them the most. So like we see, like you said, the center and Isaiah Williams getting that $240 million guaranteed. I think they got in their deals. Like
40,000, you mean?
Exactly. Those guys you definitely want.
Golf really pissed off now. 240 guaranteed for a center from Florida.
Yeah. No, I got the guarantees right here. Isaiah Williams got
40,000.
Kingsley Awak, the kid from Florida, got 245. Duke Clements from UCLA, the center, got 60 grand, and Isaac Uwakwu got 35 grand. So those were the guys that got the guaranteed money. So I don't know, man. That Uwakwu kid, I watch him at James Madison. I know it's James Madison, and they don't play, but the Dukes are the Dukes. You know what I'm saying? So they just started to become a Division I team.
And again, you got to pay to play, man. I mean, we gave Brandon Joseph. I mean, he was one of the higher paid UDFAs a couple years back. The dude out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It just didn't pan out. But you know what? You fork up the money and you got to see what you got. Especially when we needed safety depth. And I mean, it's a competitive league, man. So even the shittiest guys on these practice squads, man, would blow you away in person, man. They'd stand out as the most talented guy you've probably ever seen play. So.
Hey, so I want to ask you guys something now. Is it time? Because we've heard for the last 2 years, every time members of the media, fans bring up, are you going to trade for somebody? Big name trade guy. And we've constantly heard from Brad Holmes, when it's time. When it's time. So I'm asking you boys, is this roster complete now to the point that we're one guy away? Just say if over the next 3 months, because guys become available via trade, guys get waived, cut or whatnot. Especially, do you think this is the time now where they go after a big-time edge rusher who may become available over the next couple months, or some other position they may deem as a spot that needs to be upgraded?
There's already one available, and it's going to be him. It's going to be him. They're going to go trade for Trey Hendrickson. I guarantee you it. Like I came out of the draft saying, okay, like I did hear some inklings about them being interested in Lattimore before the draft. Obviously, with the 2 cornerbacks drafted, you're not trade for Lattimore. And I thought it was interesting when Hendrickson came available for trade, like he requested a trade, and so did T. Higgins at the same time. It's like F the Bengals. But anyways, I don't really care. I'll take Trey Hendrickson in a heartbeat. Like I will give up a first-round pick for that horrible draft that's going to happen next year, because it's a god-awful draft. There's some god-awful players, and honestly, it's going to be one of those drafts we look back at and go, oh, well, that's one of those drafts that you're going to be like,
you win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. But like, I mean, you got Dion and Shiloh and Shadur and fucking Travis Hunter being like, we're picking our team, so let them pick them. I don't care. Like, give the first round pick away. Let's get Hendrickson over here. We have 2 guys on the edge that are just mean asses. Plus, Hendrickson wears a dark visor. He automatically gets bonus points from me. So,
well, and just to piggyback off what Joe said, like and I agree, man, because like the way I see it, right, is like when you're drafting an edge rusher, especially when you're in contention and you're trying to make a push, your idea is like, let me ask you this, you guys, if we drafted somebody, he ended up being good as Trey Hendrickson, would you be happy with that?
Yeah,
I mean, I would. So use that pick and go get the damn real thing. And like, let's cook this into overdrive, man. Like, all the best teams have great D lines. All the best teams have depth, and all the best teams have stars on the edge, man. That's just the name of the game, bro. Like, just take a look at the Niners, and they've been to so many championship games, and you got the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs this year actually balled out, man. They had some good members on that D line. So like the way you just say, hey, if I'm gonna try to draft a guy and hope in the next 3 to 5 years he gets as good as Trey Hendrickson, and you're trying to make a push, I agree with Joe. Take the picks, go get the damn real thing, and let's make it happen.
I'm following Les Snead's advice, and I'm saying F those effing picks. I don't want them. Give them.
Orlando said y'all sleeping on Houston. We're good. James Houston is a pass rush specialist, but but he is not going to be the one you can rely on to every single season.
We haven't seen enough.
All right, Orlando's going to push me over the fucking edge. Okay, here's the thing. All right, we're gonna go here today. First of all, James Houston is a daycare person. He's like the shortest pass rusher. He's not a pass rusher that's gonna play every down. We're talking about a pass rusher that can play every down, Orlando. We're not talking about a pass rusher that comes in when it's playtime. We're talking about a pass rusher for every effing down. That's number one. And a lot of these people that love James Houston, they also want to chop Robinson. And I was like, look. Are we trying to raise a daycare at the defensive end position? Because that's exactly what you was going to get with these two. So, look, go get Trey Hendrickson. Go get a dog. Like Easy says, a dog. And screw it. James Houston comes in on like the pass rush where you can put Hendrickson maybe in the middle with Reader.
Yeah, comes off fresh legs.
And then you got some dogs on that are just who are you going to block? Like, who are you going to focal point of the blocks? Like last year in the NFC Championship game, James Houston was one-on-one with Trent Williams, and Trent Williams made him his bitch. Now we all know Trent Williams is the best tackle in football, but again, James Houston is like 5'11", 145 pounds. He's a speed guy. Not an everyday. He's not an every down pass rusher.
James has to earn his spot.
I don't care.
James has to earn his spot, I believe, just like everybody else. And I think a lot of fans are still stuck on the end of 2022.
Well, all these fans last year told me that we didn't need an edge rusher because we had James Houston. Like we're anointing James Houston as like the savior of all things Detroit Lions. Like I'm like, guys, we need an edge rusher. Like we just do. And they're like, no, we do not need an edge rusher. I'm like, these people, like they just don't understand. Like there's a difference between a pass rush specialist and an edge guy. A guy who's gonna command blocks on every down.
I think Davenport, who's more the prototypical 4.25 DN. Hey, hold up! I'm just saying. I'm not making a case for him, Joe. I'm not making a case for him.
Joe's about to rip some heads off today, dog.
I heard
he about to kill me.
I heard some James Houston slander. I had to do my IT thing.
Here comes
James Houston, that guy. I covered him at the HBCU Combine. Then I covered him. I told this team to draft him. They didn't look at him. They didn't visit him. They didn't have a meeting with him or nothing. Took him in the 5th, 6th round, and guess what? He came out, delivered 8 sacks. And I guarantee you that this is his job to win and his job to lose at the same time. You can't speak down on James Houston. He came in, he helped us win in one of those last 8 games of the year. So when we talk about James Houston, it's nothing but respect. Start bowing your head. Pray over your food because James Houston coming. I'm telling you right now, James Houston coming.
Listen, I'm not discounting James Houston at all. He's gonna be a beast. I don't think the Trey Hendrickson thing happens. He's part of the reason he wants to get traded is he wants bread. And if we're gonna re-sign Jared Goff, which I don't know where you guys stand on that situation, but like if that's truly gonna happen, which it feels like it does, I don't think you'll be able to afford a Trey Hendrickson on this team. But I'll say this: if Davenport or someone goes down, which he might, because you look at the track record, it's not pretty. I can see a trade happening then, but I definitely think we're in the position to do it. I just know Brad, he is, we call him Bargain Bin Brad on our show, just because like he's kind of stingy, man. Like he never want to give up too much money. He never want to give up. I guess in the draft he'll give up picks. That's his version of going all in, though, is in the draft because he has more control of his contracts and whatnot. But if we're right there, last year I was bitching for Chase Young, and everybody who was crying about it, oh, you can't sacrifice our picks, y'all can kiss my ass, because Chase Young made multiple big stops against us in the NFC Conference Championship game, and he played in the Super Bowl. He quite clearly helped them get there. Like if we're at that point in the middle of the season, or I think if they moved it back to Halloween now or whatever week it is, definitely make the trade. I just don't know if it's going to be Trey Hendrickson. Maybe someone more affordable.
I think finally though, at this time, bro, you gotta be willing to spend some bread and make it happen. I mean,
yes.
I don't know. I mean, you got at some point. I feel like if you're serious, I mean, like Howie Roseman over in Philly, man, it's like this dude just prints off money. This dude goes on Madden and comes up with the craziest trades and makes them happen in real life. This dude is now I'm not saying that necessarily is the end all be all as far as the reason for your success, but I do think you have to pick and choose who you go after and when you go after them. And I think that we've been building up to that moment where we do go finally get a big guy. So to answer your question, Walt, is I think it is finally the time. Now it's going to be who is it going to be? And I think we have enough, and I don't know about your guys' opinion on this. I think that we've done such a good job of building the culture over the past few years that you don't necessarily have to worry so much about a guy coming in and ruining that, because it's so strong that you can kind of mold those guys into what you kind of want them to be. And if it doesn't work out, like CJ Gardner-Johnson, if he's hurting you, or you just cut ties and you say, hey man, we don't need you, it's cool, see you later, hit the road. So I do think a bigger trade is imminent, and I mean, it just feels like edge. It does to me. It feels like that's our true last missing piece to a true championship caliber team. So Orlando in the comments say we're good. We're 12-5. We're good as is. We don't have a Super Bowl ring, so we're not good as is. Until we can hoist that Lombardi Trophy, we can improve and we can get better and we can always add and we can make sure that we're in a position that we can do something that this city has never done, and that's win a Super Bowl. So I do think, in my opinion, Brad sees. I think they always had the vision that year 3 and 4 were the real serious points of contention for this team, and we're heading up on year 4 of this regime, and I think it's time to pull the trigger and get a guy that's going to make you instantly better. And not a better spot to do it than defensive end, man. That's one of the most important positions in football.
Okay, let's talk about this guy. Nobody wants to talk about this guy. I know. Lamar had some good things to say. Please subscribe to Spirit of Detroit podcast. You're going to get some good takes. Talk about him, guys.
Yeah, that guy right there did a 4-position workout. That guy right there is a bona fide hustler. Yes, I know he only has 1 pick. I just see some things that I don't like, where he's kind of stiff in his stance. Some balls go over his head. If you look at the all 22, some things go over his head. His reaction time sometimes in the past game is kind of bad. But I like him as a runner. I like him as a special teams candidate. I definitely see him making the team. If he does make the team, he's probably going to be a safety. He's a poor man's Brian Branch in that regard.
He seems to be pretty adamant about being that running back, having that running back label on.
He gonna have to work on it. He gonna have to work on it because it's Craig Reynolds' job to lose at that point. But he does remind me of a better Craig Reynolds, the way he runs. He's a hard runner between the tackles, very decisive. His tackling angles is a little shoddy sometimes. It's 50-50 because he thinks like a running back still, even on defense. But if he tries to get in that backfield and mix it up, Tyler, I'm telling you. Craig Reynolds got to watch his back, and I love Craig.
Listen,
he's a friend of the family.
Every team's got those football players, man. I don't know a ton about this guy. I know that I saw some snippets. Obviously, you see the highlight reels. Seeing Pat McAfee talking about him on game day. Everyone has a lot of good things to say about him. But look, every team's got football players, man. I mean, the Saints have had that Swiss Army knife and Taysom Hill doing everything. Just everybody's got those gadgety players that can really make a football team, man. We just straight up call those football players, you know what I mean? And Brad Holmes loves football players. The guy loves ball. And the dude to bust his ass at 4 positional workouts and 1 combine. I mean, that's something that most scouts have never seen before. So I mean, hey man, it helps to have football players on the squad, man. So I'm intrigued by it. I I don't know enough to make an informed decision, say I like it or hate it, but I'm
Yeah.
intrigued.
He does. I think he has like 45 snaps at like this quasi linebacker role where they play him at the line of scrimmage, and then also he is playing the nickel, and then he also goes back and he can play the 2 deep safety. I'm very happy with the selection. I do think he's a poor man's Brian Branch, but I think he should look more at being a return specialist just because he's a natural with the football, and that return specialist job with returns coming back, I think this guy can do something. Like Maurice Alexander, you just got the number 1, but you might lose it real quick. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you guys, especially you, Lamar, because I watched this guy at Utah because secretly I like Utah football. I don't know why. They play this dirty, kind of grimy type of game, and I like Kyle Whittingham as a coach. But when I watched him at Utah, I mean, they used him at running back against USC, and he did pretty damn good in that game. And then he's playing kick. He's on the kickoff, and then he's on the defense. I look at this as like this: if you're a player on the roster and you're a guy at running back or a guy at safety who is on the edge of the bubble, watch the hell out, because here's the reason why. He's one guy. He could take the spot of 2 guys. So not only are you getting rid of someone like on the bubble, you could bring in another player that you may need help at, like the edge, or maybe you need an XY receiver. Like this guy takes up 1 roster spot for 2 positions, and like you said, he's with the kickoffs come back, the kick returns come back. He kind of his kick return. I think he could be really dangerous in the kick return. And I think that's what they needed. I mean, I know Maurice Alexander changed to 1, and you just hit on it. You might want to reconsider that and change to like 21. But I think he's gonna be a legit guy. I think he's gonna make the roster just because of his versatility alone. I mean, if you could play offense and defense and at a high level, that's 1 spot that you're taking away from someone else. That you're a 2-part person. Like we seen what's his nuts in New Orleans?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. We saw Taysom Hill take a tight end
Didn't you
spot.
say that about 25 seconds ago, talking about what's his name?
I forgot it.
He off the sauce, man.
Football teams have football players, man. Football teams have football players, man. So
exactly. This team hasn't had a gadget player since I don't know.
When did we had a gadget player?
Who was a cornerback we had that played receiver and did kick returns?
Eddie Drummond?
Oh, Jamal Agnew.
Agnew.
This should be like a Jamal Agnew on steroids.
Yeah.
Not as quick.
Guy was drafted as a running back. I think he's going to be a special team guy. I think actually Brad already said that already. He's earned his stripes on special teams.
Yep.
It's like that's what he was made. Obviously, I know the Detroit Lions were heavily involved in getting that kickoff rule changed. Like Dave Phipp was part of like the 13 coaches that originally proposed it or whatever. So like I think they're like heavily invested in like just the return game in general, and obviously he fits both sides of it because he literally plays both sides of the ball, both offense, defense, and I think that's where he's going to shine. And I think we'll see him in a lot of those freaky ass roles, like you were saying, like some hybrid linebacker, maybe a little bit of like H back where he's like coming out of the backfield, audibling into like the wire or slot or something
freaky
like
rolls,
that.
That's the ass rolls, bro. We're gonna be going up against
For
Caleb
real,
Williams.
yeah, it's gonna be some crazy shit for sure.
Watch out, Craig. Watch out, Craig. Watch out.
Honestly.
So I'm gonna have to go to I have to go to the washroom here, but I want to bring up the Hendon Hooker issue. Everybody's gonna love Hendon Hooker. Joe.
Darcy's
You
on the
know,
rock.
we had
Okay,
Matt
bro.
Derry on, and you guys are making fun of me because I'm ready for Hendon Hooker. I think
Oh, you're ready for Hendon
Jared
Hooker.
Goff is a bomb.
Yep.
You know
you're
this.
You're just like 8 Mile in Detroit. You love that hooker, you know.
Oh, you gotta stop. You know what?
You know, Joe.
You're just like David Pike. You're just like David Pike, and you want.
No.
Oh, he didn't throw Pike's name into it.
Man, yeah.
Ready.
Darcy, you might as well call me a dumbass. I mean, come on, bro. Like,
Damn.
Man, listen,
guy's
I'm
good.
gonna just throw this out there right quick, man.
Go Hendon, baby.
This was
I
this
see
was
you,
a top
baby.
this was a top 5 run defense last year, and I think they want to stay with that. That's the key thing. And Spirit but Spirit brought this up to me in the phone call a few days ago about how solid the run game was, and how important our DBs were last year in the run defense. 3 DBs I'm about to say 3 DBs they bought. 3 DBs that they drafted are all guys who have elite run defense grades.
Yep.
Like, this is something that they make sure that they're going to keep this. This is the part of the bloodline of the team, the line of scrimmage. And, you know, this is a guy who, right along with Branch, he can play in the box because he's not a high safety. He's not a coverage safety at all. He's a guy, he's an enforcer. He's an enforcer. Branch is an enforcer in the run game. Rakestraw, Terrion Arnold, even though Terrion he doesn't have the physical, the imposing size for that matter, but they got guys in the secondary that are enforcers in the run game. Even Amik Robertson. He's a small,
the way the team's designed, you bro, you better buckle up if you're gonna try to run it on us or try to get an open space. Because if we hit you, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, we talk consistently about and I bring the Colts up consistently because they did it with Minshew last year, and people don't understand. Well, how did the Colts win the amount of games they won without a quarterback and without any stars? They dominated the line of scrimmage defensively and offensively, and they ran the football.
No, absolutely. I'm a big Colts fan. They're my second favorite team. My family's from Indy, so I watch a lot of Colts football, and exactly that, bro, man. I mean, they pride themselves on they come hard downhill. They come hard downhill and they'll crack you, and they will hit you at the line of scrimmage. Everything they got, I love. They got some really good picks coming in from there as well. But to kind of take that same mentality and just be like, look, man, like, we're finally embracing the culture of our city and that grit, like, hey, if instead of like, what was it, 2011 or whatever, and everybody's getting like arrested and shit.
That fraudulent team.
Yeah, so instead of it like going that route, man, we're going like, look, we're gonna just beat the brakes off you, bro. You try to run on us, we got all the best run stoppers. You're gonna try to come through the middle of the field or, get into the open space or toward the line of scrimmage, get gadgety with your little bullshit, your little screens, your end arounds. Like, I'm going to blow your shit up. So it's just bringing back a tough brand of football that I think is, kind of, it gets lost as the years go on, but it's dope to see.
I can't wait for this damn defense. Watch this defense, man. Like, the corners we got in the perimeter now, DJ Reader to eat space. Exactly. I can't fucking wait. Jack Campbell's going to take a lead for damn sure, bro.
That Reader pickup, man, it reminds me of when we got Snacks, but just a few years younger,
Yeah.
We needed that,
But even better because we got a coaching staff that knows what the hell to do with them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. This is going to be very special. Very special indeed because of the run defense. We already ranked top 5 in the run defense last year. And then when we moved towards that 4-1-5 and we had more of a nickel and a dime set out there, and we started seeing guys on blitzes, that's going to be in the fold a lot. We're going to see that quasi linebacker, quasi blitzer from Melifonwu, and he was getting back there from 20 yards out. So if he's getting back there from 20 yards out and creating that pressure, and we got nickelbacks in the game, like Rakestraw, say it with me, Joe. Rakestraw. Just I'm telling you, these exactly. These boys getting after it. See, you can't
best picture you can find, Darcy.
You can't doubt the tape.
That picture looks like he's like
Darcy did that on purpose because he didn't like the pick.
Why do you treat me this way? It is hard to produce. I have to predict what you guys are doing. I always have to predict. It's like I'm being a football coach again. I have to figure out what you little nimrods are doing out there, and then I have to correct you all the time. I always have to correct Joe.
Here we go.
I always have to correct Joe.
Hey, look, before y'all get into it, man, I'm going to peace out, though. It was good chopping up with you guys. I'm going to bounce.
All right. Thank you, Tyler.
It's good time on the show. Take it easy, brothers.
Yeah, I got to get going, too, because I got to leave the studio and head to the house. I appreciate you guys having me on. Hey, is this on? Because I keep seeing YouTube comments pop up. Is this on YouTube as well?
For Detroit, Spirit of Detroit podcast. I'm going to download it.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to listen. I want to listen to this argument on my way home. So I got to hear this one out.
Joe's a golf slappy.
I'm not a golf
slappy. You are a golf slappy. No. I ain't paying this guy. We will win championships if we have Hendon Hooker. Listen to me.
I want what's best for the team. And did you watch Hendon Hooker
Yeah.
at Tennessee?
Okay. So do you
As
want to
much
pay
as
this
me?
guy $50 million? Do you want to pay him $50 million and handcuff this team? Oh, there's my wife banging on the floor. I'm a little too loud.
Yes, even she's pissed off at your Hendon Hooker opinion. What the hell? Yeah, beat on that floor. Yeah, let's go.
You
Let's
know,
go.
last take here. Last take.
Thanks
for coming on the show, bud.
Hey, I appreciate you guys
it.
having me, man. This is a great panel. You guys killed it. I appreciate having me on. I'll be down to do this again in the future. On the golf Hendon Hooker front, we gonna have to trust in Brad Holmes because he did make that move to grab Hendon Hooker when Jared Goff says you have to get paid. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the day. But I have no issue being excited about Hendon Hooker, but also supporting Jared Goff while he's here.
Welcome to the Detroit Lions News Show, your number one source for Detroit Lions news.
But when I see Dan Campbell handling the clock the way he has over the last 3 years, same shit with fourth down going for it, admitting after the game